I'm Naja Hall and you're watching Naja News. Today we're headed back to Chicago to discuss a case that I didn't feel got enough media attention.
Bloodied and bruised. A young woman from Carpentersville says she was attacked at her hometown McDonald's because she's gay, telling our Sarah Maki she wants hate crime charges filed against the men who did it.
A broken nose.
I don't know when I went unconscious, but at one point I did because I don't remember them stomping on my head.
A young woman minding her business was brutally attacked by a group of men, and get this, a few of them were minors. Unfortunately, this isn't commonplace, but what's really odd is that she's had to fight to get this deemed a hate crime. This is the story of Kady Grass. If you think this sounds awful, hold on just a sec. That was Kady just a few days after the attack, after some of the wounds had healed a little. This is what she looked like on the day that she got attacked. Don't think this is just the newest reel of the week where another attention seeker cries wolf. This was absolutely a hate crime, an attack so heinous that many people are calling it attempted murder. And worst of all, the people involved, well, most of them were minors. Kids beating kids, committing hate crimes and possibly attempted murder. This whole story is a hard pill to swallow. The hate, the ages of the victims and perpetrators, and the level of brutality. Well, let me just say, this isn't gonna be a pleasant conversation at all today. So let's get into it. You all know me by now, and I like to take things from the top. Here's how May 13th went down. Just a little disclaimer before we begin. There's been a lot of false reporting on this case, but it's a good thing that Kady herself has been pretty vocal about what happened. So I'm gonna go by what the victim says first. Given that a lot of the people involved, most of them underage, and the serious nature of the charges, I'm not surprised that a lot's been censored from the public. But you're gonna hear my 2 cents on that too, because I got some opinions on how this all was handled. Today we're headed to Louisiana. Kady, who was 19 years old at the time the incident occurred, was out to support her 13-year-old cousin's choir performance in Louisiana. By all accounts, she's a pretty uncontroversial person. And judging by her TikToks, she just does lip syncing, she posts about her girlfriends, you know, all normal stuff that 19-year-olds do. Not once in any of her posts did I see anything political or any semblance of giving a damn about other people's opinions or even being outspoken about her own opinions. The only thing that's wrong is that Kady is just openly gay and that she's interested in living a completely unproblematic life. She doesn't bother anybody. She just wanted to be happy and content and mind her own business. That's why this whole thing is so wild to me. Kady could have been one of our friends, our sisters, our cousins, our coworkers, our daughters. She never did a thing to anybody except for just be alive, and instead of peace, she was targeted for death simply because she walked into a McDonald's. Now when the performance ended, Kady and her cousin were walking the few blocks home, stopping only to dip in the McDonald's so Kady could use the bathroom and maybe get a drink for the rest of the walk home. So who is the they that Kady was referring to? That's where a whole lot of news reports on this assault leave some major holes. They mentioned 2 individuals, the 19-year-old Zeshawn Cameron and another 15-year-old boy. What they failed to mention is that there were 3 other people involved in the altercation. I'll get back to who I think the other 3 were and their part in all of this a little later. But for now, let's look at these 2 because they're the only ones that have been charged for the assault. First, Kady didn't even notice the boys or their companions. She simply walked into the bathroom, did her thing, and walked out. She then came face to face with angry Cameron, who called her slurs and challenged Kady to a fight outside. There's been some debate on whether Cameron actually mistook Kady for a dude because she is rather masculine and she has short hair. And maybe he was just upset because he saw what he assumed was a man in the woman's bathroom. I can guarantee you that his defense team is gonna try to argue that angle. But come on, people. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to hear her feminine voice when she opens her mouth, or to clearly see that she has a pretty robust chest area. No mistaking that. She clearly stated that she was a lesbian just to make it known to Cameron, but he was already gearing up for the fight. It wouldn't have mattered what she said at that point anyway. He decided that he wanted to beat Kady up long before she exited the bathroom, that's for sure. But here's what my only criticism, and I'm not trying to criticize Kady or victim blame, but when he challenged her to a fight to go outside, she actually went outside to wait for him. So Kady, what made you think you were gonna fight and beat up all those boys, 5 of them? They were all clearly bigger than you and they were itching for trouble. Again, not victim blaming, but I do wonder what was going through her mind that day. And her 13-year-old cousin was with her too. She could have saved her skin and got out of there as fast as she could. This has nothing to do with keeping your pride intact or fighting the good fight. There was a kid there and Kady was far outnumbered, and this was not gonna end well for anybody. Not that it matters much, but Kady did wait outside for a couple of minutes, and when nobody showed, she went back inside. Again, I'm not sure why she'd walk back into the lion's den when she could have just gotten out of there and went home, but here we are today. According to Kady, they never showed because they were attempting to get their hands on a firearm. This claim hasn't been verified, and it sounds to me more like a big lie to scare her even more. I don't think they had a gun. But Cameron was arrested for possession of an unlicensed firearm before that over in Chicago, so it's possible. But no firearms were found at the scene or anywhere around the scene. I really doubt that they had one, so it sounds like it was just an empty threat. Still, their previous arrest brings up questions. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let's get back to the incident. When Kady went back into the McDonald's, Cameron openly threatened to kill her. It's at that point when he started to attack Kady from the front, with his 15-year-old accomplice beating her from behind. And this is also the point where a minor conflict officially turned into a very real threat to Kady's life. At one point, Kady lost consciousness or partly disassociated because they started stomping on her head. A 19-year-old man and a 15-year-old who is almost as tall and heavy as a fully grown man using their feet and the full weight of their bodies, let's just say it's a minor miracle that they didn't crush her skull that day. The manager of the McDonald's tried to intervene, but he got injured when he was trying to pull the boys off of Kady. From what I gather, somebody's elbow hit him in the face, but his injuries didn't require medical intervention. Now bear with me here while I examine the footage. We did personally request this footage from the police department, so there's a lot of it. Most of the people involved in this assault case were underage. The majority of the body cam footage has had to be blocked out because they're minors and we have to protect their identities. So I'm gonna focus on the pieces of the footage where the main culprit is visible. As you can see, Cameron starts off denying everything, even going as far as to say that the stains on his shirt were ketchup.
Yeah, blood, where?
Your shirt.
Where? Show me.
Right there.
I don't know what that is.
That's what?
I just came from McDonald's. I was eating a cheeseburger. That's ketchup.
Okay. You get into a fight?
I obviously have a tank top on.
Did you get into a fight? No?
I've got to give it to him. He's obviously listened to his lawyers the first time he got arrested. When in doubt, deny, deny, deny. But that facade drops as soon as he realizes that he's in pretty significant trouble. He's later shown gesturing wildly, seeming to still be in a state of agitation, or he might even just be being belligerent. We can't know for sure as the sound is cut out because the other kids chimed in here too. But he definitely doesn't seem terribly apologetic or even compliant with the police. By this time, Kady had been taken away in an ambulance, and Cameron is finally arrested, and I assume was a sweep of all the witnesses and perpetrators, everybody's bags and pockets, everybody got searched. I want to bring to your attention the search being done on that handbag. The first thing, that's not a man's bag, it belongs to a girl. Given that the others were underage and the items inside, it's safe to assume it was a teenage girl's bag. And yeah, you saw right, that's a knife that the officer takes out of the bag. Like I said, I'm gonna get back to this group of 5 at a later point, so just pin that for now. Remarkably, Kady walked away with only a fractured nose, a hemorrhage to her eye, and a large number of bruises all over her body. Judging by the witness statements, these guys were stomping on her head while she was unconscious. I cannot get over the fact that she didn't have broken bones or head injuries. Before we get to how this is gonna go through with the courts, the charges, and all that, let's take a look at the perpetrators. Firstly, this is a hate crime. You can spin this any way you want to, but that's just facts. During the initial verbal altercation, Kady made it plain that she was a lesbian. They knew that she was a woman. And in conjunction with their homophobic slurs, there's no mistaking that they attacked her based on her sexuality. The knife hidden in the unnamed girl's purse is telling though. If these kids were in school, where they should have been, and not hanging out around dangerous parts of town, then she'd have had no reason to have a knife with her. Thankfully, that also proves that this girl was not directly involved in the assault. I'm sure the blade would have come out and she would have been physically involved and things could have been worse. This all points to a group of kids who were itching for a fight, and they went after the first person that looked like an easy target. Were they out there looking for a member of the LGBTQ community? Probably not, but you don't get up in the middle of a meal just to confront someone so violently if you don't have ill intentions towards somebody's sexual orientation. Officially, the charges against Cameron are aggravated battery and a mob action. I need to explain the severity of these charges to you because he's looking at some serious time if this goes the way that I think it's gonna go. It's the mob action that puts a darker spin on this. Inciting one or more people into attacking a single person or a group is a highly volatile and deadly action to take. For multiple people to jump one person, the chances of them dying or suffering permanent damage is almost certain. Any one of these charges on their own carries a 1 to 5 year sentence, depending on the severity. Separately, they could have all been classed as misdemeanors. But add the mob action to that, and it turns 1 year into 5 years almost instantly. Now they're felons. First, the county was hesitant to press hate crime charges, but Kady's legal team, the huge amount of witnesses, the CCTV footage, and public outcry put pressure on the county to go forward with hate crime charges. Then you need to take account Cameron still has a previous charge of carrying an unlicensed firearm on him. As for that minor involved, it's hard to say. Does he have any priors? Did he too call Kady homophobic slurs? And did he also threaten to kill her like Cameron did? I hope for his sake his record's clean, because if he gets the same charges that Cameron has, he's absolutely gonna spend the rest of his childhood in juvie and then some federal prison when he ages out. He did at least turn himself in to the police 3 days after the incident, so that might help his case. Now let's put it plain and simple, they were very hesitant to classify this as a hate crime. And obviously there were minors involved, but Cameron is a legal adult and old enough to be completely aware of the serious and extreme nature of these crimes. There's no doubt, not even a sliver, that this was fueled by hate. It is a hate crime. They held off on calling it what it was for 2 whole months before caving in to public pressure. Why? Especially given his prior record, the death threat to use a deadly weapon, and continuing to beat the victim after she lost consciousness? Listen, I'd expect them to be hesitant about an attempted murder charge given the perpetrator's age. But even then, I'd argue that this was done with the intention of killing Kady. You don't stomp on somebody's head out of love or because you want them to breathe another day. This was a hate crime, and it's more than justified to call it attempted murder on top of that. So back to Cameron. His hearing was set for June, but there's no public record on that occurring, probably because of the amount of minors involved. I suspect that Cameron pleaded not guilty, or there would be records of his sentencing and placement. He definitely wouldn't have been held in the county jail if he had gone for a guilty plea. But I'm happy to report that Kady is healing well, and she's received a great deal of support. And as of this recording, the community's raised over $80,000 for her medical bills and legal fees, and she says she's gonna use what's left over to get herself and her young cousin appropriate therapy after this entire ordeal. Predictably, this started a firestorm over on Threads and Twitter, pulling in MAGA supporters, Black versus white, and even one sad troll who tried to pull in J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter lady, into this discussion. Do politics and race have something to do with this? Probably not, or absolutely yeah, depending on how you feel that day. Some could say politics and race have absolutely nothing to do with this, but we all know they have everything to do with everything in this country. But plain and simple though, hate has no color. Hate hates color. Hate has no sexuality, but it despises differences. Hate has no gender, but it villainizes going against gender norms. It comes down to the fact that some people are hateful jerks and they just prey on anyone and everything that stands still long enough. If it wasn't Kady, Cameron would have attacked someone else for some other arbitrary reason. The same goes for the rest of the world. There will always be those who refuse to let others live in peace, who need to focus their hatred on somebody. And most of the time, it's kids who get drawn into it and have to live with their vile participation. Even if they don't end up growing up to be bigots themselves, it's usually the grown-ups around them who should know better, who pull the younger ones into this mess, resulting in lifelong consequences. So what I'm trying to say is don't be an idiot. Don't be mean. The less people will die, the more people will live happier lives, and the less people will suffer. It's so good to hear that Kady's doing okay and that she's healing well, and maybe she'll grace us with her presence here in the comments section. I post videos like this every week, and I'm in the comments section just dialoguing with you to see what you think after every upload. We're just a small team here, so you can show us your support and keep the channel going by hitting the notifications bell and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you down in the comments, so leave me a heart or give me a like or just tell me what you think about my outfit today. My name is Naja Hall of Naja News, and I will see you next time.